Hey, what's going on? It's Low Full of Nose back at you with another Tech Take, and today, my friends, we are taking a look at the Hohem iSteady M6 smartphone gimbal kit. Now, I've been using this gimbal kit for the past 2 weeks, and I'm ready to share my final thoughts and impressions with you on this kit. And in short, it's pretty awesome, but I'm going to tell you exactly why it's awesome and share with you some shortcomings that I found with it. So first, let's start off with this. This is a fill light / AI sensor. Basically, this changes the game. Any gimbal that does not have this moving forward, they might as well not even play the game. Fill light. This will actually, when you connect it to the top, it actually turns into a fill light so you can actually brighten up your face. So if you're holding this about arm's length, you can be assured that it's going to bring in some additional light so it can actually brighten you up. Now, not only is it a fill light with your normal CCTs and your different variations, your brightness or your color temperature, but it also acts as an RGB light as well, so you can bring in different hues and saturations into the mix as well for some really cool visual accents. Now, that's the light part. Let's get to the visual sensor part. This can actually track you amazingly. I mean, yeah, there's software tracking that's included, but this brings in some hardware tracking as well that works phenomenal. I mean, talking about feeling like you have a second person behind you who's actually filming you, like you have a professional videographer right behind you who's tracking you and following you, and it's so smooth. And even if you're to get out of sight, once you get back into frame, it acquires you just fine as well. So like I said before, moving forward, if gimbals do not have this feature on, again, they shouldn't even play the game. And the M6, man, so strong with that. Okay, let's move on to the rest of the gimbal. First of all, if you take a closer look, this is a beautiful looking gimbal. I mean, from the accents, the buttons, and man, there are so many buttons, to the ribs, to the handle. I mean, this thing just screams quality, and it feels really good in the hand. On top of that, it holds up to 400 grams of weight. So as you're looking around the gimbal, you can see there's little parts where you can actually screw in additional things. You can even charge your cell phone, your smartphone through the gimbal because of the battery inside of the gimbal. There's just so many things that you can attach to this gimbal and so many functions that this gimbal provides. Now let's take a closer look at the buttons. And the first button, of course, is the power button. You hold that on for a couple seconds, it'll turn it on, hold it down, and it'll turn off. Go to the front, you'll see your mode button. This lets you go between the different modes of function for this gimbal. Now the different modes are pan and follow, pan, tilt, follow. You have all lock, you have point of view. You also have an inception mode if I press 3 times. And it can go into sport mode when you hold the trigger on the back. Okay, so that's our mode button. Of course, we can see our beautiful display here that tells you everything about your gimbal. Of course, you have your joystick right here, which you can turn your gimbal left, right. You can roll it up and down, wherever you want to sit and position it, or make some slight corrections. You also have a record button right here. You press and actually starts recording. You can start recording through whatever app you're connected to. Again, you want to connect this through your Bluetooth. You also have a zoom in and a zoom out dial right here as well. Let's move to the side. You'll see some A and B buttons as well. These are for actually creating start and end points as far as the movement goes. So if I wanted to, I can actually hold this to the left and bring my gimbal to the left and hold down the A button, and it'll actually lock in position there. I can go back to the right or position my gimbal wherever I wanted to and hold the B button, and it'll actually lock in that position. And of course, when I'm ready, I can tap the button and it'll start making its journey from point A to point B, or point A or point B to point A. Let's get to the dial right here. And the dial here is the one that actually controls our fill light and our AI vision. If you want to turn it on, all you got to do is just hold down the button, and you'll see the light come on. And of course, we can just play with the dim right there. And if we double tap it 3 times, we'll take it to the RGB mode. And of course, we can do that as well. And by tapping it, it'll take us through the different functions or the settings between like the brightness or the variation. I can tap it again 3 times and it'll take me back to there. If I just hold it down, it'll just turn it off. Now with this function as well, if you double tap 2 times, you'll go from focus mode as far as how to controlling this dial. You tap it 2 times, it'll go to focus mode, and you tap it 2 times again, and it'll adjust the roll. So if you want to tweak the roll axis, you can do it right there as well. Now, real quick, let's talk about the trigger. The trigger, when you double tap it, it'll reset the position of the gimbal. If I go 3 times, you'll see it turn around. 3 times again, it'll turn around again. Now, if I do it 4 times, it'll put it in a wide mode position. So normally when your smartphone is in wide mode or the camera setting, it's gonna pick up the gimbal right here. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll keep it like that. but it'll put the gimbal behind it so it's not actually interfering with it. That is really cool, especially, you know, wide angles are probably one of the best angles you want to use when it comes to a gimbal, so you can really get a vast landscape. And of course the benefit of the gimbal, so it's not shaking a lot. Now, as far as accessories, you do get a cool carrying case to hold the gimbal. You do get the AI sensor, as we were mentioning before. You also get a tripod stand at the bottom here that you can screw on and screw off to hold your tripod or your gimbal secure. And you get several different USB-C cables so you can charge your phone or charge the actual gimbal itself. And you get a much needed manual as well. Now, at first glance on the gimbal, it may look intimidating with all the buttons, but no worries. You'll commit it to muscle memory with about a day's use, or maybe like a day and a half's use, maybe 2 days max. Now, I say that because of the app that can be used with this gimbal does a great job of reminding you how to use the gimbal. And if for some reason you forget, it also does a great job of doing it for you. So let's get straight into the app. And of course, you'll see your home screen when you're in the app, and you'll see your home, tutorial, a shutter button, an album, and me. Now, when you go into the tutorial mode, this shows you everything you need to know about the gimbal right here. You don't have to go like on a separate phone or some separate device to kind of look up a YouTube video. Everything you need to know is right here within the app, such as how to start it up, what the buttons do, reminding about the features, on how to sync it up, even time lapses, dolly zoom. It'll give you tutorials on how to actually do these things if you need it. It's always right there. So it gives you plenty of time and resources so you can actually commit this stuff to memory, so you can be really effective with your gimbal. So then we'll go into the shutter button. Of course, at the top, we'll see that we're connected through Bluetooth. Everything here is connected or working through a Bluetooth connection from our phone to our gimbal. Now at the top, of course, you'll see what kind of mode we're in. It says we're at POV, and as we press the menu button, that mode will just switch as we go about it. Now you'll see another button here where it's got a weird little circle thing here. It's kind of like half and half. This button switches out your camera facing. So right now it's forward facing. We'll tap it and it'll be back camera facing, where it actually shows you. So if you want to do some vlogging and actually see yourself as recording yourself, you want to tap that button. Of course, you can play with your resolution, 720, 1080p, 4K. You can set your frame rate, 24 frames, 30, 60 as well. Now you also have your tracker as well. We can actually track objects or even people. So we can go ahead and press on the object right there, and it's going to say, all right, well, put a box around a tracking object. So once you do that, just hold up anything, put your finger on the screen, put a box around it, and it'll start tracking it from side to side. Now you'll notice that while it does track it, it may not seem as smooth as the AI version did before. Not really sure why, but you can track through software through the app, but it's a little smoother using the AI vision sensor. Let's go to the next one, where this is actually a face tracker. It automatically finds a face, it acquires your face, and it'll track your face moving forward, which makes it really cool. Really cool if you're doing some kind of vlog, you need to move around, you need to track, you can actually do that as well. Maybe if you're doing some kind of cooking scenario or something where you want people to track you as you're moving around, maybe you're trying to do a workout video, it does a great job tracking you too. Going on that, we have our settings button. Now it shows you all the details that you can manage within the app, that you can actually manage within the actual gimbal itself, and other settings as well. If you want to change some deeper elements of the gimbal, this is where you want to go. Let's get out. On the top right, you'll see the power of your gimbal, of course, the power of your smartphone. And these three circles right here, this activates a beauty mode where you have the ability to do none or beauty. And of course, you see kind of puts like a soft beauty tint over my face. Now, going back to it, you can actually make your face slimmer, which is crazy. And you can actually play with your eyes and do some crazy things like that. So yeah, if that's something you want to do, it's right there. And of course, you have your gesture mode. And with this, you can actually start a recorder and take a photo when you're not close to the camera. So I'll throw up an L sign or a V sign. It'll take a photo or start recording. If I do this, it'll stop the recording. Now, one thing that I really like about the software here is it does everything for you, or it's very clear, or it makes it very clear on how to actually do something. So let's go to Timelapse. And automatically it makes it super simple. Choose how many pictures you want to take within a time frame. So let's just see, I can pick my shutter and I can say, take a picture maybe every 4 seconds. Right now I can set a time limit, and I can do a time limit of 5 minutes. And it'll tell me what at 4 seconds, at 5 minutes, my video will last 2 seconds. Okay, now I can just press start and it'll take a time lapse and it'll just focus on during that time, and then we get a cool time lapse. But you can also do a hyper time lapse where you can actually set a start and an end point. So what you want to do is set the first position for your smartphone, hold down the plus button for a little bit, let go, and then it'll show your first point is recorded. Then move the camera to a second point, hold down the plus button again, let go, and then press start, and it'll follow that tracking of your time lapse for your hyper time lapse. Then of course you have slow motion, which is actually self-explanatory. Just point, record. It'll record at 120 frames per second. You also have panorama as well, where you just press record and it will do a 360 panorama view to give you a really nice wide shot. And of course you have video mode, but then also you have your moment mode as well. This is where you can get really creative, and they also give you some additional templates to work with. So they've got a raindrop control where it puts you in the scene. You can actually use your hand as gesture to either bring the rain, stop the rain, or manipulate the rain the way the app lets you. You also have facing the sea. These are some cool templates where it tells you to get this shot, stop, get another shot, stop, and it'll stitch all these elements together for a really cool scene. Facing the sea, a travel scene or travel template, a lucky template, dynamic template, also a smart dolly zoom. This is really cool. You can get those nice cinematic shots. And again, you don't have to worry about doing these movements for yourself. Just go into it and it'll just tell you walk back, and it'll do everything for you. All right, so smart dolly zoom, a smart motion time lapse. So if the time lapse we did was just too much for you, it'll do it for you even more. It's got a panorama video. Again, if the panorama was too hard, it'll do it for you in the software. And you can even do a clone me, where it'll take several pictures of you and stitch it together as if you were in one shot. And you even have a fantastic rotation where it does an inception mode, but it does it to the beat of the music. And of course you have your inception mode where it'll do it for you, and you don't have to worry about pressing a button like 5 times. It just does it for you. Back to the past, another filter. Night rain, another filter, and of course back to raindrops. All right, so let me give you my final thoughts on the Hohem iSteady M6. First of all, I gotta say, this gimbal is beautifully made. I mean, when you see this thing, you see the buttons, the build, it's just like, man, this is like, I've got some really serious cinematic hardware in my hands, and it's just like working for, and it's working for me, and it's smart too with the actual AI vision as well. I mean, I really think the AI vision changes the game, especially with the fill light and the RGB. It's just like those little extra add-ons. You're like, man, I didn't even know I need that. I'm so glad I do have that. And of course, the app itself makes things so much easier. So you're not fiddling or fighting with the gimbal. You're off and you're creating just like that. As far as my pros, and they're a little finicky. I want to be completely honest with you. Number one, I wish I could put my smartphone holder, my phone holder on this, so I'm not constantly taking off. That's just me. I can't really blame the gimbal. It's just like, you know, yeah, it's just me. I wish I could have I wish I didn't have to worry about taking my case on and off. The app itself is sometimes wonky. You know, when you're going through the different video modes, like the moment, the video, the photo, the pano, you would think if you just tap on it, it would take you there, but sometimes it acts really weird and wonky, and then you actually have to physically drag it to the one that you want to. Weird. And with any other gimbal, there is a learning curve when it comes to the gimbal. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of buttons. It can be a little intimidating at first, but you know, give it some time, get used to it, go through the tutorials, and it'll become second nature in no time. All right, guys, that is the iSteady M6 smartphone gimbal kit. Really hope this video helped you out. Enjoy. As always, I'll leave links in the description down below so you can pick up your own M6. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any other future videos. Hit that like button if you like what's going on here, and also ding that notification so you can be notified as well. Hey guys, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.